a public holiday
Right,
so that
right.
you can rest. So Nigerians, take out time to rest. I know the economy is not smiling. I mean, instead of lying down, who will come and give you food to eat?
Right. As I say, nobody's coming to save you.
Nobody's coming to save you, but try. You only need to wait. If it's an hour, 2 hours, just be intentional about making that 2 hours worth.
Right,
Wow.
right.
And you'll be fine. We'll all be fine at the end.
Of course, we all will be, and we must make effort to be fine because, quite frankly, at this point in time, we realize that Nigeria is going through a very tough, and if you like, what one political philosopher once called times that test men's soul. The soul of Nigeria, and indeed Nigerians, is being tested at this point in time.
So,
and
Gabadaya.
altogether, right?
So,
Yes, it's been
that's
tested.
deep.
It is deep. You know, I learned about that in my first year in school, right? Maybe we'll talk about that a little in a bit. Yes, times that try men's soul. Yes, I'm saying that to say that, first off, President Bola Tinubu had touched down in Jos yesterday. He's not there to raise the glasses. He's not there to win the governor over into his party because the governor, Caleb Mufwang, is already in the APC. He's not there to campaign. He's there to remind the people of Jos, whether that's what he's going to say or not, that, look, you've been in this dark season for too long. Therefore, we realize more than ever before that as a government, we have a responsibility, a duty, an obligation to ensure that we not only commiserate and condole with the government and the people of these states, especially those who have been affected one way or another by this carnage, but that we ensure this doesn't repeat itself across not just any part of Plateau State, but the entire country. Because we are looking forward to what the president's engagement will look like in the course of today, Friday. What will be the highlights of his conversation with the governor and the communities that are being devastated on account of this loss? One report says 27 people. Others, versions of the story are reporting different figure. But like I mentioned yesterday, it is about the fact that people have been killed, innocent people, harmless people have been killed. So the question is, will the president go there again today and deliver the same rhetoric that we've heard over time, condemning the killings, calling it a dastardly act, and so on and so forth? Because until we change our approach and our method towards this evil, we're just going to keep running around circles.
I think for me the visit yesterday brought a lot of emotions. I kind of saw the president in a different light. I mean, we saw the words when he came out to say, "Oh, no amount of money. I can't give you money."
Right. Which is the reality.
The reality, and some Nigerians want to say, "Oh, I mean, why would you sound insensitive?" But that's the reality. You cannot, even if I know somehow they would compensate, maybe they make it public.
Will it be far-reaching enough?
Yes, it won't be far-reaching enough. And in that same, at that same time, I'm still thanking God for social media, because imagine people did not report these things. Imagine, because I saw that woman that had her child killed.
Right.
Carried her child. I think she was in that meeting.
She was
together with another woman, and then the president addressing her. I mean, it's consoling, right?
One to one.
Yes, one to one. It gives her some kind of relief, even if it doesn't bring back the child and all, but it's consoling. So I was quite impressed with that. I mean, I was really happy to see
that feeling of the president flew all the way just for me kind of moment.
Exactly. It was consoling to maybe to some extent, but it was consoling. And like I said, imagine we didn't have social media. Nobody would have seen
to spotlight all of this
as it was happening. And we've seen social media also bring out reports on how it has the progress of her son's burial and all. There's one I saw was quite emotional. She had to give her son a match it and said, "Go and kill your
your assailants.
Go and do whatever it is, bring justice. Go and fight." And all. It was an emotional moment. The president's timely visit, for me, I really commend that. He has said that they will mount cameras. I don't know. I don't know
how feasible that is.
That would also be. I don't know how feasible that would also be. I don't know who monitors. The problem with Nigeria is maintenance. People to put things in check and make sure that whatever it is that has been put in place is going fine.
Right.
I think that's our problem. So I really hope to see that this measure is carried out to the latter. I really hope to see that some sort of result, because he has assured them that it will never happen again. So, I mean, we do not want it. We are taking the president's word for it, right? We are holding on to it, and we are we are assured, we know, somehow I'm convinced because he has said it. I do not want to see such an incident repeat itself, such ugly incident repeat itself. So this is also to say to those that maybe we're not in that environment, you're still seen, you are heard. Our president has assured you. Let's hold on to that and let's see what comes out of it.
Incidentally, we hope the president, as he steps out of Jos Plateau State capital in no time, these words, these promises, this solemn pledge that he has made will not fall on bad soil, so to speak, that they continue to be not just words of marble, but the basis upon which very drastic and timely action will be taken against not only those who are perpetrating this carnage, but the people behind them, the funding behind them, the supplies behind them, because those are the backbones that they rely on to continue to carry out this evil, which of course quite frankly is very sad. Now, away from Jos just for a second, because this is an ongoing conversation. Apparently yesterday was a big day for politicians, particularly those of the African Democratic Congress stock. It was a full house for the ADC, because yesterday we saw, at least from the report that our political correspondent Ubang Usoro sent in, where the big wigs of the party, starting from former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, you had the likes of former Kano State Governor and the leader of the Kwakwasiya movement, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. We had former Governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi. We saw former Governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Baker. We saw quite a number of people. And then you're wondering, what now? Of course, they had a press conference, there was a protest, and the leaders of the party talked about how that they are not only unhappy about what INEC has, quote unquote, done to them, but they are going to ensure they follow through with the legal mechanism required to address an issue such as this. But INEC has been very vehement, saying that, look, nothing changes. I mean, we are all here all night until there is a valid, competent court order reversing or upturning the enforcement of the judgment we got from our lower court. So I think both INEC and the ADC, the man I was speaking, are both stuck, but apparently, and for obvious reasons, the ADC has so much to lose should the party remain deregistered or delisted, as INEC has called it. But when it's all said and done, what are the options for the ADC at this point? Assuming things remain like this, even in the face of a court judgment that probably, who knows, maybe favor INEC, because at the end of the day, the leaders of the ADC are resolved that they are going nowhere. They are going to stand for election in 2027, at least at the presidential level. And then you also have the challenge of other people saying, people like Femi Falana, a senior lawyer, and Gani Adams saying that, look, if we are not careful, given what we've seen and where we're heading, Nigeria may end up having just one presidential candidate in 2027. Does that break your heart?
I'm even trying to understand what the problem is. Because as far as I'm concerned, we've not had any kind of disputes, loud disputes within the ADC, until leadership and all. I saw a tweet by Shehu Sani.
Right. Was him being hilarious in that tweet? He's always hilarious with serious issues.
Of course, and I was like, he made it sound as though, okay, this people inherited party. You cannot inherit this entire. You cannot buy an old car. Yeah. The scenario he used was they purchased old vehicles, expected to function well and all. As a brand new one. So. Right. I think his whole point was, okay, maybe the inherited party from some people,
right?
And it could be he was making look as if it's the underlying issues right now that is bringing all of this out. And of course, he was quite sarcastic, and the statement was trying to mock the ADC. Right. And I'm like, this same guy used to be very loud against former governor of Kaduna State,
right?
And right now we have Uba Sani, currently the governor of Kaduna State, more like a brother to him. And all of a sudden, everywhere is cold. There's peace. There's unity.
Between him and the governor.
Between him and the governor. Between him and APC. Do you understand?
Right.
So, I'm like, Nigerian politicians, what is the problem? Tomorrow, a Shehu Sani still comes out and maybe the whole thing doesn't favor him. You see the loudness again. Because he used to be a comrade.
Right.
We know how his tweets used to be. But all of a sudden he's quiet. And then we see such sarcastic
I thought you knew, Priscilla, that life is dynamic.
Of course, we know life is dynamic. But that is one of the reasons why I don't take politicians really seriously. Because I don't really feel for them.
Right.
Because I know that whatever expressions they have, depending on the phase and the time they are in, is always dependent on whether it favors them
or not.
So, I mean, you've had your own fair share of the enjoyment in quotes.
Right.
The moment doesn't get to you, we know that you are angry. And Nigerians will now want to train their emotions and stand behind you and want to even risk their lives. It's not worth it in any way. So, to the ADC, I'm really trying to understand what the problem was. What is the problem? The Rauf Aregbesol's leadership.
No, that's the David Mark's leadership, where you have Rauf Aregbesola as the national secretary.
National secretary.
Right.
Is there some other kind of leadership coming to contest with this leadership? Okay. But all this while, their names have been uploaded on
So what happened?
INEC.
What changed?
What changed? They started this party. You accepted them.
Right.
INEC embraced them. What has changed at this point?
They had even been attending meetings called by INEC. At least we have seen no less a person than Rauf Aregbesola,
Exactly.
the national secretary of the party, representing the ADC at almost every INEC engagement.
So does it mean that if we have a group of people working together and two persons say, I'm not interested, party scatters.
Okay, so
INEC now says, because two people are not with you.
This party is no longer a party.
It's dissolved.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Okay, so
we always have differences as long as we are humans.
Right.
The most cogent thing to do is to look at things logically, at least from the standpoint of the law.
INEC will not buy this your argument, Priscilla. I wish we could bring the director of information.
Whatever is happening doesn't make sense to me, honestly.
Okay, I'll tell you what INEC's position is on this. So INEC says there is a court order, a valid court order. All right. The recognizing, so to say, the David Mark-led faction of the party. Of course, David Mark is
recognizing who?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
All right, and the same court order does not recognize the Gombe, because there's a Gombe faction of the party. Gombe says he is the validly elected, the de facto de jure chairman of the party. He had been the chairman of the party prior to when David Mark and the other gentlemen came in. So for them, obviously, that's the tweets you saw from Shehu Sani, where he was sarcastically trying to paint a picture. I mean, he was being satirical with that post on X. But here's the thing, right? So Nafiu Gombe says, I'm the chairman of the validly elected ESCO of this party. But then, because there had been this coalition talk, at a point, David Mark and a few other former governors and top-ranking politicians were looking for an opposition front away from the PDP and every other party. So they had two options at that point in time. It was about a year ago. So what were the options? Should we float a new party or adopt an existing party to advance our cause? There was dilly-dallying, there was back and forth around that. Then ultimately they agreed we would use an existing party. Again, there was there were the options of, should we use SDP, should we use ADC? At a point, people like former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, showed the tendency to be tilted in favor of the SDP, because we had seen how at least he held a meeting with them and all of that. But eventually they all settled for the ADC. However, it was the same ADC from which, I should say, Dumebi Kachiku had emerged as the presidential candidate in 2023. So, and you know how it works with political parties. If you had been the presidential candidate of a party, even if your party loses, you may not be the national chairman or the national leader of the party, but you become a prominent leader in that party. Yeah. So people like Dumebi Kachiku felt they had been relegated, they had been cheated by the founder of the party, whom they accused of selling the party to Senator David Mark and the other gentlemen who are in his camp, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. So this issue has been there back and forth. But the David Mark-led faction continues to argue that, look, those issues have been resolved. As a matter of fact, Nafiu Gombe had resigned sometime last year. And as such, you can't resign your chairmanship and still claim to be the chairman of the party. It doesn't work. So it has been a case of litigation the whole time. Long and short of the story is that INEC is now saying that court judgment is what we are enforcing now. Therefore, no, this party is even not recognized anymore. Of course, the David Mark faction says we're not buying that. In fact, we remain a party. We are going nowhere. We will not only stay here, we're going to run for election in 2027 as currently constituted within the executive of this party.
You know, I'm quite shocked because I mean, I was there the very day that this coalition happened, right? I don't know if you can, have end for the talks. Maybe we'll just join Ramsey right now and continue after.
Right. All right. Let's take a quick look at what Ramsey Nokagbo has for us today on Heart to Heart Inspirational. All right. We understand that Ramsey is prepping to join us here, but again, it's a Friday. Why don't we wrap up the working week, as it were, for those of us who have no public holiday today, by saying how we can help you get started up ahead for the next business week that starts on Tuesday.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching from, where you are listening from right now. My name is Ramsey. Let's talk a little bit. A lot of people think the way they want to think because everyone is entitled to their decision. Everyone is entitled to how they think. But then you have the right to think in a particular way. But then there is something I want us to consider today, inspiring ourselves, encouraging ourselves. What we are trying to achieve here is to set someone on track, give someone hope, restore someone's belief and faith in himself, in herself. What are we saying? There are things that you don't need to procrastinate about, that you need to start now. From where you are, using what you have, doing what you can, because nobody, all right, would want to have it all before they get started. If you're waiting for when you have it all before you get started, then it is a problem. So now, I want to ask a question. Let me ask you a question. How many dreams have died because someone was waiting for the perfect moment? How many dreams do you think have died? Even you who is listening, who is watching right now, how many of your dreams, how many of your plans have died because you were waiting for the perfect moment? Some will said, I will start when I have the money. Some will said, I will begin when I have the right equipment. Some said, I will take the first step when everything is in place. But when is going to be the time that everything will be in place? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves. But let me tell you something. The truth is this: there will never be a perfect time. The perfect time is now. All right? Arthur Ashe, the legendary tennis champion, once said, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. He didn't have the fanciest equipment. He didn't train in the best facility, but he had willpower and courage to start whatever he had. You see, greatness doesn't just wait for the perfect time. It doesn't care about perfection. It grows through progress. Every successful person you admire today started small. The difference between them and others isn't the talent, all right? It's the action, the move. Don't despise your humble beginning. Don't mind what people are saying, because people will say so many things about you. Whatever. Someone said his name is whatever. Whatever you do, whatever you say, people must talk about it, whether positive or negative. If you're doing well, people will still criticize you, because some persons will say, oh, because of his affluence, he's behaving like this. If you don't have, some people would still say, where is he looking at? Can't he see his mates? Can't he see what his colleagues are doing? The small things that you are doing in a big way one day will generate you income that you don't even expect. The bottom line is this: you need to tell yourself and say, enough is enough. I've tarried too long in this place, in this position, all right, in this thinking. You know, it's a process. It's a process. Success is a process. First of all, you need to conceive it in your heart Then secondly, it needs to get into your head, have it in your head, or else it will never get into your hand. Number one, it needs to be in your heart, in your head, and in your hand. I call it the triple H. The triple H principle says it must get conceived in your heart first, keep ringing in your head, then it will enter your hand one day. But a lot needs to be doing. It's a process, just like the seed. The seed doesn't grow in just one day. It went through a lot of processes. The gold you see today don't just come out shiny, but then it went through a refining process, a heating process with fire, serious fire. The gold is being heated in serious fire before it's become what it is today. So whatever you're doing, that dream that you have, begin to do something about it. Begin to mix up with people who are going your direction, people who have your kind of dream achieved already, because that thing you're thinking, somebody already has gone ahead to do it. So you don't need to just sit down and be thinking, be procrastinating, the economy is not favorable, Nigeria, this is the country, if I was abroad. Well, let me tell you the truth. It's not all about your location. It's not all about your destination, even though these factors play particular roles in your success, in your growth, in your achievement, but you don't need to capitalize on it. All right, and hold yourself back, because by the time you're holding yourself back, someone somewhere is already overtaking you, because the person believed in his or her dream and decided to make a move, despite the fact that they are not seeing the staircase, but they believe that their leg will land somewhere. All right. Risk taking is very important, but then if you want to take risk, let it be a calculated risk. Not the risk that will destroy you or claim your life. Any risk you're taking, it should be a calculated risk. If I do this, this is what is going to happen. If I do it this way, this is what is going to happen. But at the end of the day, this is where I am going to land, good or bad. That's how to take risk. You don't just take risk randomly and say, well, whatever wants to happen should happen. You should know that this thing that I want to do is two ways. It's either it happens this way or it happens the other way. But those two ways should be something that you should be able to survive, not that kind of risk that will end you in jail. Then that dream is already dead on arrival. That vision is dead on arrival. So if you want to take risk in as much as risk taking is part of the game, you need to be calculative. You need to put your sense together. All right. And you just need to know that every expert was once a beginner. Everyone started from somewhere, and they are where they are today. It's so beautiful talking with you. It's so nice talking with you in this aspect. A lot of people tell themselves, this is what I want to do. They start and they stop halfway. Some persons start and one thing comes up and they abandon that and rush on the other thing. But the bottom line is this: whatever you want to do, whatever it is you're doing, you should believe in yourself that you are a great man, you are a great woman. But then you need to put God at the center of everything that you do, whatever it is. Allah, okay, is supposed to be in charge. And everything you want to do, don't succeed at the detriment of the other person, because nemesis will not allow that success see the light of day. You might be successful today, but how long is that success going to be sustained? Will you be able to sustain it because you did it on a very faulty foundation? A house built on a faulty foundation never lasts. We heard of building collapse at different times. How did it end? Because the foundation was faulty. So your success in life, your achievement in life should be on a very solid foundation without you stepping on toes. It's not necessary, okay? Because the plan that God has for you is of good. So do your best and try everything that you can and get started now. Get started now. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, December, you should be able to sit down and say, yes, this is what I have done. This is what I have achieved. All right, it might not be 100%, but at least 75, 80, 85, 90 is still a very good one. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful time. I want to see you at the other side of success so that we can celebrate together, because the world is waiting for you to manifest your success. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for still being here with us. It's that time to keep you informed as we turn to the newspaper review segment, and we're starting with the Punch newspaper. First story, Easter has a kicker. Easter, CDC deploys 57,000 personnel nationwide. Details on page 7, given the whole Palm Sunday event that happened in Jos. It's just important to prevent. World Bank injects $500 million into Nigeria farms. Details on page 19. EFCC moves to seize 57 Malami-linked properties. Page 28 is where you find that detail. And next story, Makinde insists on Ali's crowning today, despite Ibadan Oba's boycott. Details on page 25. The Star story has the kicker, 2027 battle. INEC under fire as ADC crisis worsen. Some riders to that. INEC defends Mark Arabeshola's derecognition. Opposition leaders demand
Just so you know.
Amupiton's sack. I don't know. Well, I'm just speechless. ADC defies INEC, insists convention will hold as planned. Utomi Ezekwesili orders warn INEC, APC against stifling opposition. At this point, I think we need to call on international bodies to help us. Because
SOS.
please, this is an emergency. Okay, Plateau bloodshed. Tinubu visits victims, sends 850 soldiers. Well, I will not be happy if after this visit, these families do not get some financial compensation. It's very important.
Yeah, and then hospital bills cleared for those who are hospitalized
Exactly.
right now. Right.
Very important. Page 27 has governors Dangote commits 66 billion naira to Oluremi Tinubu's food bank. Well, I hope this food will reach us.
Do you know where the bank is located?
It should be in the FCT.
At least one hub in the FCT.
One hub. We should have one hub in the FCT,
Right.
so that at least this Easter, they say Nigerians, our politicians like to share rice. I don't know if you've gotten rice. Chiefs school over suspended gas leak. Okay, short school. I beg your pardon. Short school. Page 5 is where you find that detail. And finally, we have on 2027, Falana Adams predict one candidate presidential poll. On page 27 is where you see that detail. Oh God, Nigeria. Those are your headlines for the Punch newspaper. The next point of call will be the Daily Trust.
All right. Thank you, Priscilla. We begin with the three headlines just immediately beneath the name last of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Top left corner first. It says the FCC seeks final forfeiture of 57 property linked to Malami. 34,000 applicants chase 1,000 police jobs in Benue. That's no longer a surprise. The labor markets is saturated, apparently. Plateau, Borno, Kwara killings, the federal government has abdicated its most sacred duty of national security. Gbenga Shin is the one to whom that is credited. Let's see, on page 7. Yes, that's where you have those details. The Star headline reads, INEC in the eye of the storm. The story read begins on the front page, continues on pages 3 and 4, and then you have, of course, a picture story here with leaders of the African Democratic Congress right there. All right, killings. Tinubu visits Plateau, meets victims' families at airport. I'm sure this visit will go down as one of President Bola Tinubu's most historic, at least in recent times. How Alkali's resignation alters Gombe governorship race. Gunmen abduct 9, injure 2 in Sokoto community. How corps member was killed in Jos. And that's on page 5. All right, those are all the headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Let's go look at our next paper for you, and Priscilla has those headlines for us.
All right, thank you very much. On the Nigerian Tribune, we have the fresh story about the nameplate. Why 57 properties linked to Mangami should be permanently forfeited to federal government. I always wonder what these properties, are used for. Like, do they not owe some accountability as to how these properties?
All right, all I can say really is, I got to think about it. How do you just say 57 property are linked to one person? Some of them at home, others offshore. We saw what happened to former CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele.
Yes.
I mean, hundreds of blocks of duplex, all right, within the FCT. I mean, we're looking at over 500 units.
True.
All right, of duplex within an estate here in the nation's capital. The question is, what was the rationale behind that kind of acquisition? Like you asked, what do you want to use it for? I don't know. My hunch says to me, the idea is to, if you like, lock down wealth, so to say, for generations yet unborn. Because I don't understand how one man with maybe his immediate family or even extended family would need all of that. Meanwhile, you have investments abroad, you have cash stashed away in different accounts, you have other sort of valuable assets, including gold, for example. You have companies that you're floated through proxies. You have shell investments in tax havens, whether somewhere in Central America or somewhere in Asia, and all of that. And sometimes these people eventually die without family members, friends, and associates having the slightest idea where some of these assets are. And you're wondering, is that how much we hate our country?
And I'm also wondering, when these properties are taken away from the hands of those people,
what happens?
what happens? Who takes it? Whose custody is it in? Do we try to put it back into the system, see that it serves people? Or do we just make news about how it's been seized and then somebody inherits it privately? And nobody remembers, because we don't remember.
Right.
We don't know.
We move on.
We move on. We just know, oh, they fought this guy and collected this from him. Who collected
So
this?
what now?
What now? Who gives us accounts of, how well these properties have been used, back or given back to the masses?
Right.
All these things are questions, and our leaders need to be held accountable for these things. I mean, I know that almost all of them are, have a habit of, keeping properties, storing properties for their generations down to their 10th and 50th generations. But when you eventually want to pose yourself as a good leader, you say you're seizing from those you have seized from. You also owe the people the responsibility of telling them what you need.
Right.
The whole Abacha loot that was recovered. Up till date,
no word
about it.
All we hear is Abacha 1, Abacha 2, Abacha 3 in terms of the return. But where does it eventually end?
Because this is money. I mean, this is supposed to, and we still hear that our country goes to borrow.
Right.
Despite the recovery of all of these loans. So why are we still borrowing? This is my question. Why can't we convert all these things to the money that we need
Right.
instead of going to borrow from other countries. At least we wouldn't need to borrow anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Is it not only logical? Are we so dumb? Like, even that goes as if our leaders look at us as some primary or babies that will not understand the economy in any sense.
Oh, yes.
And then they just do whatever they want to do.
And hope to get away with it.
They sure get away with it because nobody questions them. Nobody even looks at it. We are concerned about the food we've not eaten, the infrastructure they've not built, the everything they've not done, and we don't even understand that these people are going to borrow money almost every AK market day, as they call it. So it's they say if they explain Nigeria to you and you understand, I think
then there's a problem.
There's a problem.
A real problem.
Anyways, let's go to the next story. Olubadan Palace reveals Ali. 2 others will be available for coronation today. Details on page 21. Denies rift with Makinde. The Star story has ADC Fumes knocks INEC, asks Amupitan to quit. Amupitan, you have to do the right thing, or you have to. I know that under the ambit of the law, you can say, "Oh, he's working with whatever court order he's given." But what is good for the goose is good for the gander. I keep saying I want to see the swift response to everything corruption in Nigeria. It shouldn't be selective justice. You know. Vows to proceed with party congress, says agenda is to make Tinubu only option or for electorate in 2027. Democracy at risk. Turaki-led PDP warns. PRP, SDP, Wu, Atiku, Obi, Kwankwaso, others. You are architect of your misfortune. APC replies ADC, calls for Amupitan's removal, a distraction, assault on independence, and that's coming from INEC. And in the midst of it, I'm wondering, even the PDP had this issue, did we see INEC remove names from its portal?
Well, I understand the name has been removed from the portal.
The recent convention, has it been?
Well, here's the thing.
Replaced, even with the whole, unsettled court.
The fact of the matter is, INEC must. It's a trying time for INEC, if you ask me. You see, it's not a coincidence that INEC has, or maybe it's a coincidence too, has a new leadership in place. Professor George Amupitan, the new chairman in charge, had made several promises, and he has repeatedly reaffirmed his commitment to those promises, right? But he needs to know that he can't be the judge and the jury at the same time. So while he may have made those promises, he may have reminded Nigerians time and again of his commitment to those values, to those priorities by the commission, it is Nigerians, whether the ones that vote or the ones that do not or cannot vote, that will eventually do an assessment of his performance as the chairman of the commission. So he must realize that history has now, as it were, bestowed on him an opportunity to redefine how elections are conducted, how parties are treated and regulated, and then he must be able to come above board. He must be able to show that he is for all and for no one, as one president once said. Because if he doesn't do that, he will not only go down in history as INEC chairman that didn't have the balls or the guts to do the right thing by the Nigerian people, but as one who further sunk an already controversial commission deeper into the ground. And that's not a good place for the commission, of course, by extension for Nigeria.
At all. Okay, we're still on the Nigerian Tribune, and next story, Dangote NNPCL governor swell food bank with 65 billion naira. Okay, this is a very good initiative for the rainy days. Malnutrition and national emergency, and that's coming from the First Lady. Page 30 is where you see that detail. I don't know which Nigerian is not having malnutrition at this point because almost every Nigerian.
Either malnutrition of their health or of their pockets.
Malnutrition of everything.
Of job opportunities.
Food.
Of housing.
You do all the whole combination. Why you don't eat balanced?
Of good roads.
It's malnutrition now. When you're able to eat a good, combination of food. I mean, having to patch is still malnutrition.
Right. Speaking of malnutrition, I saw a guy, I think I had just gotten off work 2 nights ago, and he was sitting in front of a warehouse where I guess he works. You could tell it had been a long day for him. And then he has a little loaf of bread in his left hand and a bottle of carbonated drink in the other hand. The first thought that came to me was, hold on a second, is this gentleman eating these out of choice? Or is it out of necessity?
Exactly.
I leave the rest of my opponent to answer.
That's very almost. So this food needs to get to all and sudden.
Right, it should, by all means.
Nigeria. Gridlock cripples Lokoja Abuja Highway. Travelers stranded for over 24 hours. Why? If I may ask, you want to find details on page 22. And on health, dental care can help seahorses patients avoid liver cancer hospitalization, and that's coming from a study. Details on page 12. Next story on plateau killings. Tinubu insists killers must be identified. Orders 5,000 CCTV cameras for states. Talking about CCTV cameras. I remember that yesterday conversation about CCTV cameras and how effective it can be, who monitors it.
But let's be frank, these things are doable.
Of course.
Politicians, top to bottom, know that these things are doable. But where is the will? I've said here on multiple occasions, right? Adams Oshiomhole was governor of Edo State for 8 years. And one of the things is said to have mentioned is the fact that if a governor, for example, sets his mind or heart on doing a project or rolling out an initiative, he will achieve it. If, with a big if, his interest is in it, whatever his interest is, even if his interest is just to prove a point to a local government or to a community, he will achieve it.
True.
He was saying this to say that there's no such thing as abandoned projects. Projects only get abandoned either because the person in charge was not interested enough, or there were some unforeseen circumstances that individual or that group or that political party couldn't have dealt with under such circumstances. Otherwise, if a governor says, I'm doing this, they will achieve it. And he showed that with Edo University in Iyamo, where he comes from. I think that university took less than 4 years. I mean, it's a near world-class university. Meanwhile, the state-owned, the one we are very sure is state-owned, Ambrose Ali University, at the same time, was complaining about many debilitating issues, including salaries for workers, including issues around governance, including issues around, all of those administrative concerns and stuff like that. So, it's a way of saying that if President Tinubu says, look, we must have CCTV across all our cities or all our states, cities, interland, whatever it is, it's a matter of bringing the governors to the table, bringing the local government chairman to the table, and making them see that this is a matter of national interest. It's a question of life and death. Then we'll do it. Look at what we did with local government autonomy, for example. You may say, yes, we have not been able to enforce altogether. But have we not made substantial progress? Yes, we have. So it's just a matter of interest. Look at what the government, the federal government has done with the tax reforms, for instance. 19 states governors, all the governors in the north came and said, look, this is not going to work for this. The president called them to a dialogue. They reached a compromise. And today, the tax reforms are being implemented. And I'm saying this to say that, look at Abuja, for example. At a point, billions were voted to install CCTV across Abuja. To whom was those funds, all right, yes, allocated? Who is being questioned? Who is being called to account to say, look, we gave you XYZ with regards to CCTV project some time ago. How is it going? The last time we had a minister of finance under former president, now deceased, Muhammadu Buhari, and she said, look, we are going to investigate, we're going to get to the bottom of this and blah, 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 blah.
Till today. Another question is, when it comes to security, it's a very sensitive thing, right?
Extremely sensitive.
So who is going to be fair enough to tell us the truth? If you check that CCTV camera and you see someone that you know, that knows someone, that knows someone, that knows someone, are you going to be candid enough? Are you going to be real enough to come out and say, this is who I am? Because we've heard rumors on how these things are sponsored. You understand? People are sponsoring them. Even politicians
Are complicit.
And at the end of the day, can we trust governors to tell us the truth? Can we trust, state governors to come out and be plain enough to tell us?
Do they have the courage?
Do they have the courage? Do they even have the integrity?
Will they see beyond their political selfish interests?
Exactly. So when we're talking about CCTV, we know that somehow you don't even need CCTV to bring out the truth.
Right.
That's just it. Some people know who knows.
With or without CCTV?
Without CCTV. So CCTV is just
secondary.
We don't even need to get there.
So you are saying that may even be a distraction?
It may. It may even be a cover-up at the end of the day. Except the problem is corruption. The problem is integrity. You cannot be looking for giving tools to people that don't have integrity.
Right.
It doesn't make any
You
sense.
only make a bad situation worse.
Exactly. Well, I guess that is all we have for you for the Nigerian Tribune, or you can read up details to get yourself more informed. Next point of call will be the Daily Sun.
All right, I just sent the nameplate of the Daily Sun. It says, Plateau attack will not repeat itself, Tinubu assures. And the writer says, you are detached from sufferings of Nigerians, Atiku tells President. Pages 28 and 29 is where you find those details. Storm brews over new auto policy as importers kick threaten lawsuits. Alleged breach of national single window predicts higher car prices. Port strain. ADC dares INEC. 3 riders accompany that headline, perhaps 4. It says leaders demand resignation of Electoral Commission's chair, national commissioners. Vow to proceed with Congress's convention as obedient movement plans nationwide protest. Kachiko accuses Mark others of working for Tinubu. Oh, really? Has a very drastic twist. I will not resign. Amukbito. Those are all on page 6. It's a showdown now, isn't it?
It's supposed to be reverse psychology.
It is. And it seems to be working.
It is.
CBN rallies banks, fintechs as digital payments surpass 1.07 quadrillion. That's a lot of money, not even trillion. Rolls out framework to catalyze growth. Details await you on page 2. Bank collusion allegations emerge in $43.5 million dividend dispute involving Oriental Energy. First Lady's Food Bank program rakes in over 65 billion naira support. Corporate giants, federal, state governments pledge massive buy-in. Of course, it's the First Lady we are talking about. Another Ebonyi monarch murdered on page 29. The Punch is reporting this morning that that murder, very sad incident, happened right in the palace of the now deceased monarch. Those are all the headlines from the Daily Sun newspaper. Our last paper this morning will be, let's see what we have as the last one on the program this morning. Incidentally, that will be the Daily Independent, and Priscilla has those details for us.
Okay, so on the Daily Independent, above the nameplate, top left corner, we have heads of federal government agencies battle for Independent Public Sector Reformer Award. Next story, Tinubu asks security chiefs to hunt down plateau attackers. Orders installation of 5,000 surveillance cameras. And I'm wondering, do you have to even ask them? Are they not supposed to know it's not their duty to hunt down?
All right.
Maybe this intensifies their efforts, and we hope it yields results. The recognition of David Mark-led ADC. Opposition tackles INEC. APC says democracy at risk. I think one thing that caught my attention was the conference tagged ADC World Press Conference.
So you don't think it's a world press conference?
It's a world, of course. This is to call the attention of the world.
So say, look, we need help.
We need help. Nigerian politicians are funny at the end of the day. They just know how to be dramatic. So then, they need help. There are some writers to that. ADC asks INEC leadership to step down over partisanship. Vows to go ahead with all its programs, congresses. Asked Tinubu why he's bent on destroying opposition. APC wants to win presidential poll by hook, crook, and that's coming from PDP. I'm sure it's the other faction, definitely not the Wike faction.
They can't sound like that.
They can't. It doesn't sound like them. ADC Assembly of confused, desperate politicians, and that says ADC, Assembly of confused, desperate politicians, says APC. I mean, everybody was desperate at some point, including APC. So it's not supposed to pain them.
You can't blame them.
You can't shame the shameless.
Right.
Or the shameless cannot shame the shamed. NSIA posts 478.8 billion naira call
income, assets base near 5 trillion naira. This page 7 is where you see that detail. Your conduct at Wike's rally, shameful, Bode Jared tells Saraki. Details on page 7. ADC, Obedient Movement, demands resignation of Amupitan. Announces Occupy INEC protest. Gang, 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 gang. Details on page 6. EFCC 6 final for feature of 57 properties linked to Malami. Details on page 6. Yaga Africa warns INEC against voter revalidation. Another very important concern. Sometimes you are just into the system and you don't even know how you got there.
Right.
I just see Professor George Hamilton as one that keeps thinking. And you start off something with a very good motive, and then some kind of responsibilities come to you or demands, maybe by the federal government.
Right.
And you are just trying to meet these demands, but you don't know that this is, if you try to trace your, your startup point,
Right.
you know that somehow you're deviating. If you're not someone that is conscious of always going back to the blueprint,
Right.
always going back,
Always
to the
tracking.
vision, always tracking where you are at, you will not know when you go so deep into what you don't want to get. It's just like a blind. I see this game on social media. They draw a box and they tell people to keep marching on that box, and then you're blindfolded. The idea of the game is that you don't go out of your box.
Right.
So some people start off and they are focused and they stay on that box. There are others that march, and before you know,
They're off track.
they're off track. They open their eyes and they see that they're actually off track. In their minds,
They are heading to where they don't know.
Exactly. In their minds, they felt like they were there,
Yeah.
because you see them focused, keep marching and marching and marching. So it's just the same thing with life.
Right.
Sometimes you have a plan, you have good motives, but because of the pressure, because of circumstances of
Distractions.
life, you don't know when you leave that vision. You don't know when you derail. So we must, as individuals, have that system that helps us track our start points, helps us track our vision, helps us with whatever goals we had initially,
Right.
so that we don't deviate. And I really feel like this might happen to Amopiton if he doesn't go back to the drawing board at this point.
Well, I hope he doesn't.
Okay. And finally, we have egg industry faces mounting pressure amidst cheap price surge. Well, the price of egg has skyrocketed, and we heard that our Nigerian government is trying to partner with Chinese to help us with eggs instead of empowering our farmers.
To close the gap.
Instead of empowering our farmers and giving them money to invest in the system, we are going to look for help with China. I mean, again, it is sad.
At least let my girls have eggs.
Those are your headlines for the Daily Independent. Read of details by getting such a copy.
All right, great. So just to quickly say, you should please always remember that these headlines are such that will bring them to you here on the program just exactly as published by their respective publishers. Global Television, as a broadcast media outfit, or the team here on Global Money, does not in any way contribute to them. We're taking a quick break. When we return, Ogochukwu Mobono will be here with Social Bars.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on the issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
Good morning, Nigerians and viewers around the world. It's time to look at both of the issues on social media. And today we have a foreign man who has cried out after being alleged of police brutality in Nigeria. A foreign citizen has raised alarm after allegedly experiencing police brutality in Nigeria, claiming he was detained and nearly extorted at a police station. In the video circulating online, the man appeared emotional as he recounted the incidents, alleging that the divisional police officer DPO tried to detain him and demand money because of his skin color. He also claimed the officer threatened to escalate the matter by calling the commissioner of police when he resisted. At one point, he was heard saying, "You will go international. You are supposed to protect people," while expressing shock over how he was allegedly treated. Let's take a look at that very short clip.
Look at this extortion. You can try to stop me, man. No, it will go international. He's right. Oh, no, it's keep us safe. Stop now. That's why they don't want me to. They can't stop me from this. If they take me, you'll see it go international. You'll see. Yeah. Let it. No, let it. Stop it. The best thing I do, I go out and tell them.
I'm in Nigeria Police Force in Makiyo Police Post. They are trying to extort me here. It's called a Jigbo LCDA Dauda in law. It's a Nigerian Police Force in Makiyo Police Post. So this Shola was trying to take over somebody, and this guy was at his post. So he stopped us. Immediately, you know how they do. He said we should roll down. Immediately he saw clearance and everybody in the car. Then he caught them by the side.
No, you're saying you got baby.
Let her go. No, the heat is too much. He said he's a DPO. Right now he's talking to the commissioner. And I'm just trying to, I know you've been calling me, I'm trying to let you know, this is gonna, this man
is gonna go international.
And he's acting like this.
It's gonna go international. He can't do this extortion shit.
Okay. Okay.
He know it. That's why he's acting.
Immaculate Police Post.
This guy. I gave you Abraham Sup.
I want people here right now. You don't know me.
This is not okay. You're supposed to be police, protect people. You're supposed to protect people.
You're supposed to protect people.
You're supposed to protect. You're supposed to protect. No, it's not okay. This is wrong. You're supposed to protect.
Brother, where's the key?
You're supposed to protect. No, it's wrong. For what? For what? You're supposed to be protecting. And what you're doing, you're harming people. I tell you, everybody in the world will see this.
Alright, so that's the video clip there, and you could hear the foreign man saying you're supposed to protect people and not extort them. But in this case, what exactly has transpired? At least from the video, we also heard that someone, was trying to say, you know what, we've given them all the credentials they needed, all of our papers, and everything seemed to be complete, but we don't know why they're trying to detain us and get money. Also, from that same video, we heard when he said he's trying to call, that's the DPO was trying to call the commissioner of police there in Lagos. We don't know why, what has led to that. Why detain someone who seems to be clean of any crime? There's no crime he has committed, except there's something else you're detaining him for. Well, let's take some comments from social media as regards this topic. And the first comment is coming from Oluyimide. And Oluyimide says, at this point, I can't be the only one that feels emotional and mentally drained whenever I remember I am a Nigerian. All right, thank you, Olumide. Second comments coming from Gabby T. And Gabby says, Nigerian police extort and harass people, not protect them. All right. Third comment is from Chuku, and Chuku says, how do they even feel like when portraying such wickedness to humanity? Tomorrow, when they will retire, when they are retired, they'll start complaining about the recent bad things by the newbies. All right, thank you everyone who dropped that comment for deciding this topic. And yes, today I'm not alone in the studio. I have with me Uyi. Good morning, Uyi.
Very good morning to you, Ogochukwu. What can I say? It's a good Friday, isn't it?
Why are you on black? Is it because today?
Well, I thought you'd be grateful because I'm complimenting you.
Oh, that's true. Thank you. But I thought maybe because of the death of Jesus Christ, perhaps you're mourning. Okay, so let's go back to the topic, which is police brutality that we're seeing right there. And this is coming from a foreigner. We're saying that, it's more like you're trying to give them an orientation. This is what you're supposed to be doing, not this. And I think these policemen must have gone through all of that. But we see these things happen, and it's becoming a norm. In the video, we saw a woman trying to say, Emma Bino, which is sorry, please be calm. And she isn't saying that to the foreigner or the white man, whoever it is in the car. She's saying that to the police. So I think the police in Nigeria are used to, this beg from we, the citizens, oh, we are sorry. Even when you're right, you say you're sorry. When you have your papers, they try to tell you, give us something, and you give them. So it's becoming a norm for them. So they don't even know where to draw the line, like, okay, this person is a foreigner, we don't do things like that. It's becoming too much, and this is like an embarrassment to Nigeria and also the police force.
All right, here's what I can say. I'm one of those Nigerians home and abroad trying to recover from the incidents from Jos, and then again another very concerning and disturbing one from Kaduna. But let's pretend those didn't happen so we can also speak to these police concerns for a second. I grew up to know the police, the Nigeria police force or the Nigeria police, or whatever the name may have been at different times, to have had image issues, always have image issues. If there's no roadblock, a policeman harassing somebody somewhere in Akure in Ondo State, there's one extorting a bunch of innocent Nigerians somewhere in Benin City. Or then you're hearing some very crazy news from one in Gombe or Jigawa State. Or there's another one in Enugu who is said to be a policeman on duty. Then he went on a duty assigned himself because he was going to collect a bunje, as we call it. Right. And the next thing you hear is, the policeman has been detained, he has been sanctioned, he has been this and that. Whatever it may be. You see, the police may have done a lot of work in this regard in fixing its image. Let's be clear, when we say fixing, the Nigeria police image is broken. You see, if you do not appreciate how bad the situation is, you can't fix it. We have also had to speak to issues that are very disturbing in our own profession, in our own industry, the media industry, all right? Because you see, we are all contributors to the problems of Nigeria. We can pretend all we want, but when we wake up the next morning, we'll be faced by the reality of the fact that we are all contributors. It may not be at the same level. Now, back to the issue of the police, right? The police has public relations officer, in fact, the first public relations officer, that is at the very top echelon of the police information management system, if you like. And then they have the PRO, the public relations officer of the police, across all the commands, which is across all 36 states and the FCT, right? So the police, we can authoritatively say, has a robust mechanism for addressing issues about its image. But you see, damage control is not the same as having a robust system or internal mechanism that works, right? What does the police leadership, whether at the local level or at the national level, do with orientation? What is the average constable taught in the academy, that is in the police college? So what culture do they bring into the system eventually? The average policeman gives off this impression of, I'm a hustler. So when you see a policeman as a civilian, like I am, for example, the first impression by default is he wants to collect money from me now. Ironically and sadly so, I've seen even in recent weeks, in the last 2-3 weeks, a bunch of policemen who showed that they knew what they were doing. They pull off a vehicle, they look at everybody inside, they say hello to you, they ask you how has been your day, and they tell you go. If they have genuine concerns, they pull you over. That's how it should be. Enough of these the police versus citizens situation that we've created over time. If we do not stop that, we're just going to keep saying the police is your friend, the police is your friend, when even the DPO in my own local area here knows that the police has not shown that it's my friend.
Thank you so much, Uyi. Honestly, it's becoming a constant complaint, and it's not a good thing. It's not. This foreigner already has this mindset right now, and imagine what he's taking back to his country with, saying the Nigerian police is a no-no. It's already ruling the Nigerian police out. We have been managing the situation as citizens, but we've not been managing it well. Like that woman who was trying to say, I'm sorry, like she was, begging. Yes.
Yoruba, which means don't be offended.
Don't be offended. I think it's already built a kind of mentality in Nigeria that we are supposed to beg for forgiveness or say sorry even when we are not the ones who are committing the crime. We are not at fault. You are saying sorry to a police officer who was supposed to protect you, just like the foreigner said, and that's it. That's their priority, to protect the citizens and make sure that nothing actually happens. Like you said, if there's any concern, there's a policeman on the road, there's a vehicle on the road, and there is a policeman. If there's any concern, you put them over and make sure that you do the needful and not trying to extort them. We've seen that happen over and over again. I made and I gave an instance some weeks back when I said during market days in Delta State, then I was in school in Abraka. During market days, you see that road is always a busy road, especially Mondays. Mondays is market days, and you see over 20 checkpoints on that road from, I don't know how familiar you are with the road from Agbo down to Abraka. It's just like about 15 minutes drive, that road. But you see over 15 police checkpoints there. What exactly is happening? But if, aside Monday, you don't get to see police checkpoints as much as that, you see maybe 2 or 3 of them. But because of its market days, and they know people actually use that road very well, they are standing there because they want
to get. So you're saying demand is high on Mondays?
On Mondays, like market move very well.
Demand is high.
On Mondays, this is very bad. Like we already know them. So even if I want to go back to school, I don't go back to school on Monday. I don't try because I know I'm going to spend over an hour on that road, something that's supposed to be a 15-minute drive. So I'd rather go on Sunday or any other day. So it's something that is now like a norm in Nigeria, and it's not supposed to be so. Everyone, please go back to the drawing board. Let's know why we are here, why we are working, why I'm a police officer. And if there's no much orientation, I think they should also give a reorientation to all of these other police officers that are already there in the commission. All right, thank you so much once again, Uyi, for your contribution to this topic. Yes, and I guess like we know, the president visited Jos, and also we saw all of that there in Jos yesterday. We hope that these people are actually coming out from this pain. Don't come out from the pain, but we hope that peace is being restored to the people of Plateau State, Jos. I am Ogoch Kumobna, and I'm leaving you in the hands of Priscilla and Uyi as they bring us into the discussion section of Global One. So happy Easter Friday. Bye for now.
When social media speaks, we listen and we bring you the extra. It's your one-stop shop for trends, tweets, and the tea everyone's sipping on. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and get that extra dose of what's shaking the internet.
And on issues making wave on social media to your doorstep.
Social Boss Extra, where the trend meets the talk, only on Global TV.
In the course of work on Thursday, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NIGECOMSAT, Jane Egati Idehen, stopped by Global Television Studio to, as it were, share a bit of very vital information with Nigerians and indeed the world about what NIGECOMSAT and by extension the satellite, as it were, space system is doing in Nigeria to help change the narrative in terms of how it impacts businesses and also supports the work that the country, or that the government or the people is doing regarding ramping up efforts to tackle insecurity of every kind. She also touched on issues around policy direction and how far we have come in terms of progress in that regard. She didn't fail to mention that the present administration, of course, led by President Bola Tinubu, is committed to the space economy, and there's so much of potential we are yet to tap in that space. Let's listen to her. For a country like Nigeria that has already established the ambition to turn this economy to a $1 trillion position by 2030, there's no better way to begin to ramp up those efforts across different critical sectors. However, looking away from oil and gas as well as agriculture, there are analysts within the economic space that say that a satellite economy is one area to also turn to, all in the bid to ensure that these lofty ambitions come to fruition. In the meantime, in the case of Nigeria, what are the peculiarities with our satellite space? What are the challenges? What are the prospects? And how much more work must we do today, tomorrow, and the day after to not only reposition this space for optimal output, but to ensure that we continue to stay favorably competitive in this regard going forward. On the program, we're joined by someone who has been there, done that in this sector, Jane Egerton Idehem, who is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NIGECOMSAT. We would like to say a big thank you to you. I won't say for coming, but for stopping by, because the busy continues after this point.
Yes.
But we appreciate your time with us here on the program.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been a busy week, but we're very happy to be here.
I can imagine.
Yes.
All right, so maybe we should start from talking about the satellite space. It appears, one, very elitist in nature. It appears technically complex, and people also feel maybe Nigeria is just not ready for that conversation. What's your take on that?
Let me start by putting it in context, because I know you said it appears elitist and abstract,
right?
And that's for a long time. That's how people perceive it, and there are reasons why. A great example: there are 54 countries in Africa. Only 19 of them have even attempted to go to space. In the whole 19, the top 3 is Nigeria. It's Nigeria,
top
Egypt,
3.
Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa. Nigeria has put 7 individual space assets in space. What I mean, satellites in space. It is no small feat. The communication satellite we have currently, at the time we launched it, it was $250 million. How many countries in Africa can do that? So you see what I'm trying to frame is that there's a lot of capital investment to do that. And it won't be easy for countries in Africa. How many people have that type of GDP to pull that kind of weight? Maybe that's why it sounds elitist to some people. But it's important. I sat in the Space Council meeting last month. It was chaired by the Vice President. And there's something he said: why do we invest in space? We invest in space not because we invest in a future dream. We invest in space so that farmer in Ogun that has 250 acres that wants to do smart or precision agriculture, where he can monitor those cows to see when it's best to milk them. Are they okay? Are they eating? He can monitor the soil. So you can see, is the water, are we irrigating right? Should we reduce, should we increase the water? Did we put enough nutrients? We didn't put the temperature, all that on his phone remotely. And when he can do that, he can forecast his yield. If he can forecast his yield, he can forecast his revenue. That's why we invest in space. We invest in space. So when state governors want to provide EdTech solutions, it will only be for the cities. Over 70% of the inhabitants of the state live in the rural area. So those schools in the remote areas, coverage will not be a limitation. The same thing for healthcare, our primary healthcare centers. Over 80,000 of them are in the remote areas. We can provide even telemedicine, EdTech, health tech solutions for those remote. That is why we do it. And we can go on and on and on. But that's why we do it.
I try to avoid this aspect of the conversation, but we need to put it on the table. A couple of years ago, we heard story of how that one of our satellites fell through. And of course, apparently, monies had been expended in that direction at the time. I think, I don't have the data, that singular event actually influenced, to a very large extent, the perception of an average Nigerian about the space, right? How much have we been able to turn things around for the better since that time?
So In simple ways, you're right. I think it did cost us some brand equity, but like everything technology, everybody that's been at it, for SpaceX to launch, you know how many times they fail. Some of these well-known satellite companies, like the Intelsat lost one via Boeing, but Boeing is a big brand.
Right.
So technology sometimes is not perfect. It's a science, doesn't mean it's perfect. So we did launch the first satellite in 2006, and it failed because it had solar arrays. And we launched it via the Chinese company CGWIC. That was the partner that launched it. But like everything tech, they were doing it, but something went wrong. But luckily for us, it was insured. So they replaced it in 2011. So in 2011, we have the replacement. And it's been working since 2011. That's what we're using. That's carrying all the traffic. That's serving our clients in Sub-Saharan Africa and West Africa, in Nigeria. That is the satellite we've been using. So it's like technology. It's not perfect, but you try to always solve any problems that come. But the important thing is that we have solved that problem, we are using it, and we're using it to create value for citizens. When we came on board this administration in 2023, for example, our broadcast segment, we're only utilizing 35% of the assets. Now you're utilizing almost 90%.
That's quite a scale.
Yes, but from 45 channels to about more than 100 channels, we were serving about 3 million homes. Now we're serving about 7. That sector has really grown, but we can do more, especially with broadband. Broadband is where our focus right now. We want to really hamper, because broadband can also give us more leverage. That's internet penetration.
Right.
That means that farmer, that guy that wants to work remotely from his village, that guy that has that fintech application, he can be loaning people money, even in rural Nigeria. That guy that has built some app that can help, to educate people, even in rural Nigeria, in any local language, and charge small money. We can provide connectivity for him, even there's nobody giving him connectivity in that location. That's what we want to do more. That's the broadband challenge.
I'm going to cycle back to the impact of Nigerian satellites on the broadcast space, where we are, for example, in a bit. But let's talk about internet penetration, which you mentioned. Yes. First of all, there are two concerns, if you ask me. There's the issue of cost of data. We saw how much of hula baloo that caused last year, when telcos were talking about increase by 100% and stuff like that. That's one challenge, cost of data. The second, spread, penetration. How much do people have access to the internet on the average across Nigeria? I mean, we talked about election recently. Should we or should we not transmit electronically? One of the things politicians, especially National Assembly, told us was that, look, we don't have that internet presence to make that happen just yet, even though the telcos themselves don't share that position. But talk to us about how we can leverage these, all right, to be able to, one, cut down very significantly on the cost of data, because cost of data is a determining factor fundamentally for access to the internet. Even as an entity, business entity, is quite challenging for media houses, including ours, for example, to access the internet, because you have to stream around the clock, you need internet to drive your business, and things like that. Talk to us about the difference your industry makes in that regard.
So you're right, in terms of when you look at broadband penetration, the things facing it are things like cost of data, cost of devices, build out, that's what you're talking about. And those are challenges, and sometimes they come inherent in also the business models. I think where it's different from us is that the truth is, even for us in satellite, the devices we give are subsidized.
Wow.
Because it's not just a commercial entity, it's a government entity, and one of its mandates is to help provide that broadband penetration. How do we move it? Currently, we are about 48%, which is less than 50 for a country with 230 million. That means you're saying like half the people are still not there.
Connected.
So you need to at least plan to around 70%, like almost everybody that should want to, that barrier. So definitely devices, there are all kinds of models. Like some of the projects we run them off the USPF, which is universal. That means you're literally subsidizing so that people can access it. And there's the part of incentivizing both private sector to push beyond the urban areas, because the comfort zone will be the urban areas. They have to be profitable. They have to give value to stakeholders. They're not a government entity where we are judged by how are we able to create impact. So how do you incentivize them to go even rural? And we work with them. So one of the things people don't know that we do, we work with rural operators. So all your Inc., hotspot, people that build and extend coverage for all the MTNs in rural areas, we work We help them backhaul their traffic. For example, hotspots, over 100 locations, 19 states. So when they build out those sites in rural areas, we help them carry the traffic back over satellite to the urban area to join the main switch. So that's some of the things we do. But that's another way of us, because we know it's important that coverage be in the rural areas, and people don't have that barrier because they feel like the cost of operating is too high. So we don't want to go there.
Interesting. But that's maybe turn to issues around policy for a minute, right? I'm not so sure what the policy position is today in the case of Nigeria as it has to do with satellites and stuff around it. But how are we doing? How well or otherwise are we doing regarding policy? Because these are issues, again, that are globally regulated one way or another. Are we where we should be from a policy standpoint? Or do we need to go back to the boardroom, to the drawing board and say, let's take a second look at our policy position and align with today's reality going forward?
So if I look at policy, I'll say we are quite advanced. So I'll start from the top. On the global level, we have huge representation. Nigeria is currently one of the countries driving satellite policy globally. For the first time, we have an African sitting on the Global Satellite Operators Association board. And it's NATCOMSAT. For the first time, for over 20 years they've existed, there's been no African. So we are globally driving that because we have leadership in the region. And when we come locally, of course, we have our regulator, the NCC. But one thing I also want to emphasize is that we're thinking forward. Maybe we're not talking more about it. I told you about sitting on a Space Council meeting last month.
Where you had the Vice President.
The entire FEC, it was shared by actually it's normally shared by His Excellency the President, but this session was chaired by the VP because he wasn't available. And guess what we're discussing? Space policy for Nigeria for the next 25 years. That's what we were mandated to go and sit and provide. Because we're thinking ahead. So maybe some of the things we are not communicating, but I'm trying to share. But that's what we are doing behind the scenes. So that we start to position ourselves, to become intentional, to prepare for how we can use this technology, not just to serve ourselves, but to serve those around us, to also protect ourselves. Because it's key in national sovereignty and defense. So those are the things that we are doing, trying to make sure we can use the policy to align to the realities of our time.
Let's talk about private sector participation in all of this. We understand money will come from all over the world if a sector is promising, especially in a country like Nigeria where there's so much of promise, there's so much of potential across sectors and industries and stuff like that. As of today, on a scale of 10, how much of foreign investment or participation of any kind are we seeing regarding satellite business in Nigeria?
So in terms of, I cannot quantify. So what I can tell you is that in terms of the digital economy, which the space fits into, we contribute about 20% of the nation's GDP. It's grown, over the years. It's grown, as per last quarter, it's about 20%. But there's a lot of focus to grow the digital economy, and the space economy contributes to that. Now, in terms of foreign investment, I can't quantify it. I don't have the data, but I would say there's been a lot of focus, even local investment. Sometimes we feel like we're the third largest GDP now on the African continent. If you can't do it, who will do it? So there's a lot we're doing in that space. So one of the things we've done in the past 3 years, we've been having what we call accelerator programs or startup accelerator programs. And we call them the Space Accelerator Program, where we look for startups that build solutions that can help in the space or satellite economy. We pull them in, we train them for 9 months, we work with them, and likely go to market with them. Why? We want to build an ecosystem. Because you can't do it alone. It can't be only public sector. You need private sector and public sector. And we are seeing the benefit. This is cohort 3. So during our satellite week, which we did on Monday, on Tuesday, we launched cohort 3. But cohort 1 and 2 gave us so much value. We had some of them even now go to Silicon Valley. Some of them are now working with the defense sector. Because all those use cases I was telling you, it's not NATCOMSAT that will build the application. It's these startups. And we want, especially in this next phase, we have been fortunate that the president has that vision. And we are so grateful to His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has approved 2 additional satellite companies.
And we hear that's close to execution?
Yes, because that's the first one will be delivered in 2028. 2 new satellites, because he has the vision of what we can do. Now, what we want is when we get to that stage, how do we get the local startups to start building? Some of the things the modems and all, we want local companies to build it. We don't want to import them anymore. That's how you build the investment. That's how you build the economy. And that's how we start participating in space beyond consuming. Because what we are doing today is consuming.
That's right.
We are consuming. We want not just to consume, we want to be part of those that will develop and drive it.
I mean, like many Nigerians, I've been using modems and routers and all of these devices over time. The brand names are clear where they're coming from. They're either coming from somewhere in Asia or somewhere in Europe.
Very much.
Right. And I see it here off the top of my head. I'm wondering, at what point are we going to have Nigerian OEMs?
So that's one of the things we're doing. So one of the things we did, so we just finished the tender for the second satellite we are launching in 2028. And one of our prerequisites is that must be locally done.
Very interesting. So let's talk about manpower. Well, satellite technology is complex, composite, and of course, very intricate. Today we see many Nigerians leaving the country to go look for the so-called greener pasture abroad, whether it's continental America, Europe, Asia, wherever. How much of that resource have we been able to retain back at home to help drive this space economy?
So I'll look at it for two facets. So you have a pipeline, but you have to keep feeding the pipeline.
Right.
So when we have launched, so currently we have over 240 people, all Nigerians managing this asset. What about the future? Because when you launch another one in 2028, that's another 15 years. Those people will be retiring. So we have the also need to feed the pipeline. So first of all, in terms of talent, we have one of the things I did respect when I took office was the kind of competence we have in NIGCOMSAT. I haven't seen it in West Africa. Nobody has that. On average, some of them have spent 20 years being trained, groomed, working in space system. That is not a competence you find on the street.
Right.
With PhDs. In short, we should be exporting our talent. But we know beyond that, you have to continuously feed it. And that's why one of the things we did as well during the Satellite Week on Monday, Tuesday, we announced the winners of our Space First. What is Space First? We went back to the institutions. We're encouraging, motivating them to start space clubs, to start teaching about space. We want local, ingrown talent that will feed the system. We want people to be interested. And we had 14 of the institutions apply, one of them won. But that's our own way of encouraging, because what we want is to build an innovation pipeline back to the schools. It can be done.
Right.
Build it back to the schools, because that's where research starts. The idea of how can we do this, how can I use satellite and do this, that's where it starts before it comes to the private sector and we commercially build it. That's what we want to encourage. That's the talent we're looking for.
When you look, I mean, I'm not so sure you're an academic, but obviously you're doing a lot of professional work on national and I dare to say international scale. But let's talk about our curriculum in schools today. People go to school, study computer science, study all kinds of sciences, computer engineering and what have you. When they come out most times, they don't measure up with the requirement of the industry, even at the rudimentary level. How do we scale such level of talent or potential, or if you like, skill to what is required by today's demand?
So if I reflect on your question, I know one of the things that has been happening is that the market or the industry is moving faster than academia. You know?
And that's not a good thing.
It's not necessarily a good thing, but that's the reality. They are still in school and AI is already there. Then they come out with like, oh, we want people with AI skills. Like nobody taught us AI in school. Or at the time we were programming, it was C# or it was Fortran.
Right.
Now we're talking, no, we want people that can program in Java, you know. So we see there is a disconnect because academia tends to lag. And the way you bridge it, some of the things we've been doing at the ministry, you know, His Excellency Dr. Boso Tijani, the Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, is very good at that, is to connect the academia back to the industry. Looking for projects like the AI centers we want to build.
Right.
How are we building the AI center? We're saying even as the technology is evolving, we want you to start playing around. By the time you come to the marketplace, you'll be attractive. We're looking for joint projects to do, like what we did with our AI strategy. So we're already exposing some of them. Internship is one way we did. We do that a lot in NIGCOMSAT. Why do we like interns? That's my future talent. Because if they come and experience, they're trying to now connect theory, what they learned, with what I'm telling them is what the market reality is. And they will see that there are gaps. But it's to expose them. By the time they come into the market, they're better. They're better positioned. And then it's easier for us to feed them in. But doing joint programs is so important. Taking problem statements from the market from the industry to say the biggest problem Niger ComStat had is 1, 2, 3. Take. How can you solve it for us? Let's work together. That's also very important to prepare academia for the workplace.
I know there is no way we are going to extricate or divorce the place of research from the work that you do and the future that you see in front of not just Niger ComStat, but the industry as a whole. Are we investing enough or something close to enough in that regard?
Well, you know, it's relative to different countries. Some countries are advanced because they're investing quite a lot.
How do you rate Nigeria?
That would be difficult because
I'm trying to make you be a judge your own course.
I always like to use data. You know, I'm an engineer, so I like to. So now I don't have data at the top of my head. I think the one way one easiest way to rate is to say how much are you investing compared to how much you have.
Right.
That's how people rate. So if your GDP is this, what percentage of it is going into it? But I think one of the things I would like to highlight is even beyond rating. What could we do? Because it's the global problem. Right. Even those that are investing are saying that it is also a demand that they have to keep. You know, you have to keep feeding it. So trying to say I'm the highest or I spend more money, even is the money productive?
Right.
You know, how productive
are we getting results?
Are you getting results? Is somebody checking to see the outcome, the performance? Is it delivering efficiently? So for us, the important thing is that it's something we need to invest in, and we have to continuously invest in. It will give us the knowledge and the capacity to grow the economy. Nobody's coming to save us from anywhere. We've got to save ourselves. And it's becoming a reality. You see, now people talk about national sovereignty because people are recognizing that we have to build for ourselves, solve for ourselves. So when we see those examples, we amplify it, but we continue to invest in local talent, invest in local research.
Interestingly, I guess this is where we're going to leave. It's getting more incisive with this conversation. But again, we'd like to say a big thank you to you for stopping by to share these very valuable thoughts and insights with us here on the program today. Well, I've been talking with Jane Egerton Idehe. She is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Niger ComStat and doing amazing work, not just for herself, on behalf of Nigeria and indeed the entire industry. The rest of the program continues. Please do stay with us. Like we mentioned at the top of that conversation, that was an engagement we had yesterday just to ensure that Nigerians are not left behind in terms of what's happening within the space economy. And now time to turn our attention to something else on the program this morning. World Autism Day is observed on the 2nd of April every year. So yesterday, Thursday, 2nd of April, we focused on promoting neuro-inclusive environments, understanding and acceptance. Now, the 2026 theme emphasizing autism and humanity, every life has value, with global efforts focusing on increasing awareness, reducing stigma, and supporting the rights of autistic individuals in health, education, and workplaces. And it turns out this morning we're joined by Ogunuyi Esther Bola, who is a dedicated special needs educator and therapist with a strong background in social work. Esther, it's a pleasure to have you in the studio this morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. I'll say this, I mean, you have to forgive me. I do not admire your work because I still cannot wrap my head around how you guys deal with this challenge. Incidentally, Priscilla mentioned a bit of it in passing yesterday in the course of the program. And I went home reflecting at some point as to what kind of training, what kind of background, what kind of skill sets, you know, what kind of courage do you need to have to be able to address all of these concerns. But I want you to talk to our viewers this morning, right, about what it means when you say an individual, whether a child or an adult, is autistic.
So, good morning, everyone. So, a child with autism has autism is actually quite broad.
Right.
When you see someone with autism, you've seen one person with autism. You can't say, I've seen this person with autism, then use that characteristics to associate it with every other autistic person. So the characteristics an autistic child might exhibit right now will be different from what another child will exhibit. But to know a child that is autistic, we have 3 triads of impairment, something that we look out for to know that, oh, this child is probably presenting towards autism, which is impairment of communication, impairment of social interaction, and repetitive behaviors. Now, when we talk about repetitive behavior, like hand flapping, arranging their toys on a straight line in a particular way, when you change that position, you've like disrupted the child's routine. Then when we talk about social impairment, the child, when you take the child to the playground, for example, and the child is kind of like not getting involved, secluded, does not want to play with other kids, that is another thing we look out for. Then when we talk about communication, probably delayed or no communication at all when it comes to talking, using words age appropriately, like babbling. Although there are some kids that we babble, we use some words, but before they get to 2 years old, you notice like a regression in it. We also look at that. We ask questions from parents like, was there like an accident? Was there like a traumatic experience that might have happened that would have caused that? But these 3 things are things we look out for. There are all the characteristics that can come that a child will present, but will be different from what another child will present. But that does not mean that they are all autistic. But if they have these 3 ones, then we also look out for other things like sensory processing. So that a child can be hyper or hyposensitive to sensitivity. We have hyper or hyposensitivity to things, maybe to sound, to texture of food, to texture of clothes. I know some kids that tags of clothes, they don't like it on their body. So you have to remove it before they do.
I'm hearing that for the first time.
Yes, there are a lot. Even texture of food. Some kids can't eat apple with the skin on it. You have to
peel it off.
Yes, before they'll be able to eat it. Some can't even eat rice. I had a kid whose favorite food was tea and bread. But the bread has to be soaked in the tea before he'll be able to take it. But thankfully now he's a master of food.
Maybe someday my daughters will spend time having breakfast with such a child, because they can have tea without it being dipped in, bread being dipped in tea. Because
when I say dip, I mean soaked.
Soaked.
Yes.
Wow, soaked.
It has to be inside, not like dips immediately put in your mouth. It has to be
that's very spectacular. But just before Priscilla jumps right in, let's talk about whether or not we're now seeing increase in the number of these category of individuals.
Yes, there is a number of increase, because right now people are being aware that, oh, my child is actually different, and they're seeking help. Before, it was not much because people were, we like to say, they were not accepting of the fact that there is a difference, and
sort of living in denial.
Yes, denial, exactly, and they need to seek help that would help the child make a difference. Sometimes those type of parents, by the time the child is 5 years old, then they will not realize that there's actually a problem. Let me tell you, most times than not, we always advise parents to bring your child for, like when you notice some things, like by 2 years old, early intervention, let's go, let's assess the child and know what area of needs the child might have. But some are in denial. I've had different experiences of parents having denial about. The parent literally told me, my child is not autistic, he does not just have speech. But the child was presenting across all the 3 triads and also some things. The only issue was that the boy did not have sensitivity. The mom actually went online to browse and saw sensitivity. So she said, my child is not sensitive. My child is okay. The only issue is I want the child to talk. So when parents are in denial like that, to be honest, it's difficult for you to work with that particular child, because you don't want to look at every other aspect. You want to work on the speech that the parents want you to work on. But working on every other aspect will also help work on the speech, because if a child is not keeping eye contact with you, socializing, you'll be the only person working with the child. We have something called natural environment teaching. We take the kids out to the playground and try to observe how they play with other kids. But if you say your child just needs speech, if I say I want to take the child out for natural environment, you might be like, why? Just do speech with the child. So,
So parents are quite selective with the therapy you might want to administer to their children.
Some will say, I want purely speech.
So let's talk about the stigma, right, with autistic children. I like the fact that there is more awareness in today's world, and parents are owning up to the fact that, oh, my child may be different. Back then, like you say, some parents go as far as even segregating their child.
Exactly.
You know, they don't take them to schools, they don't take them to, they just keep them at home, just to hide their children. But right now, parents are bringing them out. We see schools that do inclusive kind of learning, right? You know, I would want to ask, is it okay to have this inclusive? Is it okay to seclude your child to, because I know that there is something called the autistic school. I know some people that have autistic school. Is that environment better for such children, or do they really need to stay in an environment where they have, you know, other kinds of, you know, children with, I don't want to say normal, because every child should be normal. Yeah, so, but other kind of children, right, have a more inclusive environment.
So inclusive school, when we say inclusive school, we mean every child, regardless of their disability or their differences, they come together with other kids in the same environment to learn. So inclusive means that you take the children along with other kids. Now, just as you said that autistic school. Now, autism, we have different levels. We have actually 3 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3. So we have high functioning autism and low functioning autism. Now, high functioning autism, they probably need minimal support. They have little speech. But low functioning, they need more, like higher level of support. So taking them to an autistic school would probably help with that support, because when you take that kind of child to an inclusive school, he is with other kids, and the academic aspect might be a bit difficult for the kid. But we also advise that to an extent. Now, in an autistic school, they do all the therapy services. Like, they have like all the therapy services, probably excluding educational therapy services, depending on how they are run over there. But in my own school, we have we call it a SEN room, where we do extra services.
SEN means
special education needs.
Okay.
The room where we take the kids in for one-on-one sessions, like maybe speech or occupational therapy activities. Then we take them back to the classroom. Now, depending on the level of severity of the child, but it is advised that they should also go to inclusive school, because they are able to associate, socialize with other kids. That will build on their socialization, and also even build on speech and work on their behavior. Like sometimes you see a child that probably at home is always jumping, is always flapping their hands when they are in the midst of other kids. To be honest, I always tell people that autistic kids are very smart. Regardless of their level, they are very, very smart. They know. So when they notice something, you see the reduction in some behaviors that parents will be like, at home, he's not doing this. How is he able to do this in school? So inclusive school is very good. A center is also very good, depending on what the parents want or the level.
And the level of the autism in that child. Okay, I watched an interview recently, and the woman came out to say her child was autistic, and she was able to reverse that basically by the food. So she made mention of the fact that, their food, you know, I know you're not maybe in the medical line, but the body has a way of, you know, treating itself. The body has a way of healing itself. Sometimes what you eat, food, natural food. So she was all out, you know, talking about how she reversed autism in her child, basically by the kind of food she gives to that child. Is there such a possibility? You know, in the course of your work, have you seen that play out?
So I would say that also depending on the level of severity of the child. Now, we always tell our parents they should watch what the kids. Food actually also plays a very vital part when it comes to therapy and the results that you want. You can't give the child sugary things. We don't advise sugary things. And the child has to have a good balanced diet. The child's diet can be balanced. Now, depending on the severity of the child, a child that needs very constant support can't hold the spoon, can't literally have poor pincer grip or fine motor skills. It will help to an extent, not in the fact that it will reverse the autism. Maybe the aspect of sensitivity when it comes to food, the child is able to eat everything now. Just like the example of the child that I gave. Now he can eat everything. Chicken, when he starts eating chicken now, you'll be like, oh, you're eating this chicken. When he starts eating chocolate, even down to chocolate, which is something that he does not eat before. So right now, even if we reassess him, there will be a different diagnosis. For him, he talks now. Now, is that aspect also working in the child's speech? Therapy would have come in at a point. Therapy would have come in at a point. We can't say the food. The food we helped to, in an extent, in terms of maybe hyperactivity or doing something to the body or something. But the food being the only thing, food plays an aspect. Because we always tell the parents, watch what you give the kids. We don't encourage fizzy drinks. We don't even encourage chocolate to an extent. We don't encourage the child taking biscuits with high sugar. Crackers, they can eat. I remember the place I was working previously, crackers, they can eat crackers, they can eat apples. We encourage more of fruits too. So she's saying, when I actually saw the interview, I had to ask one of my colleagues, because I have not seen anything like that she reversed it totally, unless maybe the child had speech before but had behavioral issues, maybe the level, maybe the child was high functioning but the speech was not there.
So it wasn't serious. I think it wasn't intense. It was not.
I don't think it was that intense. If you see intense autism, you'll be like, food, reversing it. Maybe a new diagnosis should be given, but reversing autism totally, that the child is not autistic.
So we're saying autism cannot be cured, in other words?
Autism is not a disease that will say cure it.
Okay.
So you can only manage it?
You can manage it to a very large extent, whereby the kids will start associating or behaving like neurotypical kids. Do you understand? So it is not a disease. I don't like it when people say, can we cure autism?
Because that's not the conversation.
It is not a disease. It is just a difference in the way the kids perceive life. So when we direct them, it's just like a child going this way, but we want the child to go that way. When you direct the child goes that particular way. But when it comes to a disease, you have to use different medication, this, that. No, it is not a disease, so we can't say we need a cure for it. Management, good early intervention, early diagnosis, early therapeutic services provided will help manage it to a very large extent. That sometimes when you see the kid and they tell you that this child is autistic, you'll be like, are you sure?
I also hear they are very, like you mentioned, they are very smart. They have some kind of, do I call it superpowers? I don't know, but they can be, highly intelligent.
Yes.
And is it for all of them or just a few?
So basically, I won't say for all of them, but to a very large extent, it's significant numbers. So I'll give an example. I have a child. Sorry, I'm using child. We normally use my child. Right. Okay. I have a child that is very good with numbers. If you give him any calculation at all, he's giving you the answer, and he's on the spectrum. Now he's leaning towards Asperger, because autism has different types. We also have different types of autism. We have the Asperger.
Sorry, how do we class type them? Is it on the basis of the severity or the variant of it?
The basis of the severity and also the characteristics
that they manifest.
Yes. So that is where we will now say, oh, like most Asperger's, so most of the children that have Asperger's, most of their thing will be like social interaction.
The problem.
Speech will be there.
They might have their speech.
Yes, they might have their speech or little speech, but when it comes to social interaction, they kind of like have it. That's why you say introvert. He's an introvert, but he's very, very smart. CEOs.
Because I know there are adults with this thing, right? Yes, some of these characteristics. But I mean, most of them did not really. If you ask them today, because of the fact that when they were children, they didn't really. This knowledge was not there. So I've heard Elon Musk is autistic. I've heard is it Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg is autistic.
And also this guy.
And most people in the world will not buy that.
Yes.
No, they won't. And also this guy that acted on Prison Break, Michael Scofield.
Yeah, Scofield.
Yeah, he was diagnosed when he was an adult
of autism.
Interesting. And other celebrities.
You're making us like autism.
Things with autism are actually very, very interesting.
Right.
Honestly, I never knew that I would be working in this field. Like if you had asked me 2019 September, I would have been like, what's special needs? What's autism? Because I never knew anything about it. So until I came for service, then I was posted to a special needs center. Then I was like, oh, okay, I love working with kids. Why don't I go into this specialization too? So that was what made me.
I want to talk about issues around specialists, experts, all right? People like yourself, right, who have found their love, so to say, in that space. And for the everyday Nigerian, I don't want to say average, that's not really the inclination for them when it comes to picking a career or choosing a work path, right? When you look at that space today, and given the increase we're seeing in the number of individuals who have been diagnosed within the spectrum, do you think we have a severe gap as to manpower, experts who need to be in that field to continue to drive this conversation?
Yes, there is. Because honestly, working with kids with special needs takes a lot, and you have to be passionate. I had a friend, I was telling her about my work. The first statement she said was, the reason why you're working is because you like children. And that is the truth. I love kids. I love seeing them achieve things that people like this child can't achieve. I love when kids are able to like bring out their best. It's always amusing and satisfying to me. So it takes a lot of manpower, a lot of patience. That is one thing you need, compassion and patience, because this autistic kids or special needs kids, they will make you feel like you're not doing enough. But when you see the progress, you'll be like, oh, okay, I think I was doing something. But in the initial parts, when you're working with the kids, you'll be having this frustration, like, this kid, oh my goodness, what is happening? I don't want to do this again. I remember there was a time when I first started, I didn't want to. I said after my service, I'm not doing it again. Then my previous boss then was like, why don't you try it for another year? So I tried it again. Then I realized that, okay, I think I know what I'm doing to an extent. Then I went.
Did you study this in school?
So I didn't study this. I did social work, but I was more interested in child development and child welfare.
You studied social work?
Yes.
Okay.
So then during my NYSC, I did different trainings on how to speech therapy training, occupational training. So all that together is what I'm using now, but I'm looking out to do my master's. And but for you to do this, you can have maybe special education, BSc, or any related
course.
Talking about special education, I went to, my university, I don't think I saw any students reading special needs, although there was an education department. But, so I heard that there are just very few universities in Nigeria. I think University of Ibadan and one other university.
That offer this special course.
Education, and we have an increase.
And also University of Ilorin, if I'm correct.
I just said there are few though.
I just said, if considering the numbers of universities we have in Nigeria and the fact that we are having an increase in this, case,
so how do we
close that gap? Because it would just automatically mean that the workforce will be minimal compared to the cases that keep arising. So, do you want to provide any solution to our government?
Is to advocate and let people know. Let's not say that maybe even if more schools provide that opportunity or courses for people to like learn and be special educators. There's a difference between having the certificate or going to the school and wanting to do the work for it, because honestly it's quite overwhelming but satisfying at the same time. But the overwhelming part will come first before the satisfying part will come. So I think another is advocating and letting people know that it's not a dying matter, it's not a death sentence. It's very, very satisfying. Like when I see kids that I'm working with or kids that my colleagues are working with, I look at when they started, and now there's this joy that it brings. Like before we went on holiday, our supervisor called all of us to like tell us thank you and say that the parents are proud. You could literally see the smiles on the faces of all the therapists, but when it comes to during the day, you see everybody's face like, oh my God, this child just dealt with me, or I told this child to do this, the child didn't do it. But at the end of the day, you will see that, it's not about what you want to see. It is about what is that thing that you are not seeing. There are a lot of things that we are kind of like not looking at because we have a particular goal we want to achieve. But because we are looking at the goal, we are not seeing other things that are actually happening, changing, what other things are actually happening. Like a child that you say, sit down there, because you want the child to be able to talk, you're not seeing that the child now sits. Because the child is not saying, I want, you're like, why are you not saying I want? But the child is sitting compared to before when the child is all over the place. So it's about...
So we must be intentional about how we measure progress and be grateful for how far we have come. Let's talk about parents. What does it cost parents to look out for these children? Because the neurotypical children have their own demands exclusive from these other children within this spectrum, for example. Now, when we talk about cost, it's beyond the monetary element, right? What does it cost them in terms of the energy? Priscilla mentioned stigma a while ago. Society here thinks differently about these individuals. How much of costs do parents have to pay for this?
If there is one thing that is constant amongst all the parents that I've had the opportunity to work with, is that I am tired.
They are overwhelmed.
Miss Esther, I'm tired. Sometimes there was a child I was working with, and the mom calls me to come to the house. Please, can you come? He has started again. Thankfully, my house was not far from his house. So I'll just like take a bike and go to his house. Why are you doing this? And you see that he calms down.
So he listens to the
therapist.
Interesting.
More than the parent. So that's another thing that makes it overwhelming. It's overwhelming, the stigma from the society. Like, why is your child behaving like this? You're a man, why are you jumping up and down? So those things are kind of like overwhelming on the parent. And therapy is expensive. To say the truth, therapy is expensive because there aren't a lot of options.
Those centers too.
Yes, and it takes a lot to work with a child with special needs, where coming from the child itself and the parent itself, the pressure on the therapist, because they are overwhelmed. They'll be like, okay, this is what I want. Please, let's do it this way. I once had a child who I was doing therapy for December. The parent said, let's not do therapy this December because I have people coming in. They don't want people to know. They don't want people to know because they don't want people to like say, why did you allow this to happen? Because sometimes people associate it with bad parenting. It is not bad parenting. If it was bad parenting, then the world will, almost everybody will be like, I'm autistic.
Because we have
So it is not bad parenting. So it is just something that happened that we need to work on to make the child better. And honestly,
and there's also a lot of superstition around autism, right?
Yes, there are a lot of superstitions. Some people will be like,
in your former life, you're a very evil person. So that's why.
God has started to punish you. Give your own.
Punish you through your child. Like you did something that time. So God is
karma coming, playing out.
It's not that. It's much more deeper than that. There is no one cause for autism. It has not been scientifically proven.
Is there any cause is there anything we can lay hard? Because when you started, you said sometimes accidents happen. A child can fall, and it happens usually when a child, when babies are still tender, sometimes they fall over.
Yes.
While I was having my children, I had situations where they fell, and at that point, those were like, God, and I'm sure every mother would, one way or the other, have that experience. So, are there situations where that can actually cause autism? So, another one I've heard is, I think there's this popular social media lady, Lolo Mbakara, that has a cerebral palsy. I know that's not autism, but she said, the reason why she had this incident was while she was pregnant and pushing. The hospital kept telling her, push. Instead of at that point, quickly intervening with a CS or something, they just put her on that pressure of trying to push and until the baby lost breath.
So there was no
and there was no. They affected the brain, and that automatically made that child, sick for life. So there are medical situations, especially with pregnancy. Maybe you're not taking your drugs well. Some people are also pushing the narrative that I think the extra immunization here and there, something is not working somewhere. There's every narrative that people are trying to push to it, but we can clearly say that there are points where we can trace really that this might be the cause. There are accidents that happen, during pregnancy or even when the child is born, that we can trace to say, this might be a problem. Because autism has to do with, I don't know, maybe the brain, the neurological, part of the body. So, is there anything based on your experience that you can really point to and say this is a cause, even if it's not the general cause?
So, just as you said, there is no general cause for autism, but there might be some underlying things that could lead to it. It might be the lifestyle of the parents when they were pregnant. Maybe like the person, they have a healthy lifestyle, maybe smoking and stuff like that.
Excessive alcohol.
Yes, excessive alcohol and stuff like that. It can lead to other conditions and not just autism. But those are some other causes we look out for. So whenever we are assessing parents, just as did the child fall when the child was small? How did the child react during that period? Did you check the child's head out? When you were pregnant, how was your lifestyle? Were you taking alcohol, or were you taking your prenatals? Were you following your doctor's advice and all that? And another thing is how when the birth process and everything basically, but we can't really say this is the cause. Even some of these things that I listed, some parents will say no, I didn't experience any of this. The birth was smooth. I took my prenatal, I took my medications, I did not smoke, I did not drink, my lifestyle was okay, I took care of myself and all that, but later the child is presenting. So we can't really say this is the cause, and we can't say this is not the cause. But vaccines are not the cause. It has been scientifically disproven. When people say vaccine, I don't vaccinate your child, your child will be autistic and stuff like that. No.
It's baseless.
It's baseless. Vaccine does not, then that means me to be autistic. You'll be autistic. Every other person will be autistic. So vaccine is not because bad parenting is not the cause either. So I used to hear people say, that child was throwing herself on the floor, the child cannot do this, the child cannot talk. Why are you not making your child talk? It's not bad parenting like that. It's just like many other things, underlying causes that make the child.
The beauty of this conversation is to also see that, there is a good side
right, of autism, and which you have mentioned, you can actually get the best of your child. That child might have something extraordinary if you look deeply, and you shouldn't just want to compare your child to other kids, because everybody was born unique.
Yes.
Even two children that have their neurological conditions, okay, according to your own, standards, they are still different. And I've also come to realize that, like I mentioned in passing, there are adults that are autistic, right? And they don't even know. And I feel like sometimes it even causes issues in marriages because you get married to someone, I don't know if this person has a trait, you're looking at the person as a normal, well, I'm not saying, I don't want to, I'm careful my words, a neurotypical, human being, right? And then you try to live with that person and see, oh, this person is exhibiting, this is weird, this is, So how can you identify autism in adults?
Autism in adults, I've not had the opportunity. But I would say the same characteristics in the kids are also in adults, excluding the speech part. They might be able to converse, have speech, maybe they beat the speech out of them, because now adults, we are not, during our own time, there was nothing like gentle parenting.
So you can beat the silence out of them.
That's what you probably did that time. But in adults, it's basically like the same characteristics, but like in mellow way. You to be difficult. A bit difficult to see an adult and be like this child. You just be speculating like this person might be autistic. So they probably have the same character. Maybe socially, when they go out, you can see an adult saying that this sound is disturbing my ear. And
or some of them are extra sensitivity to sound.
Yes, and you can be like, I'm not hearing anything. What are you hearing? So, things like that can also.
So is autism hereditary? Can an autistic? I'm saying this because there's this video trending on social media of a pastor that came out to say he has an autistic adopted son, a boy. Thank you. And he felt the solution to this behavior is to marry out the child, right? Marry out the young boy. Fortunately for the boy, another woman comes to marry him and all. But the person was specific to say, I don't want another autism woman to come and marry, so I don't give birth to autistic children. So is it?
It's
not hereditary.
It has not been proven that it's hereditary.
Okay.
I have not seen an autistic child that has an autistic parent or grandparents before. What in my life, like with the kids that I've worked with.
So how do you know the parents not autistic when you don't live with them? Are you able to assess them since they speak?
You've not done a backtrack or some background checks?
Background checks.
Oh, you do that?
Yes, we do background checks. We ask the parents, in your family, has there been any
case
like this? We'll be like, no, we've not had any case. We've not had any case like this. The child, or maybe like great.
Oh, how would they know? I feel like Nigerians are not very detailed.
We won't say it's not hereditary. Just because a child is autistic and you married an autistic person, the chances of you having an autistic child is more closer to zero than you know. So it's not hereditary.
So we shouldn't be looking at it from the standpoint of genotype, right?
No.
Let's talk about NGOs that work in this space. I'm sure we have at least a handful of them, maybe not so many. And then also look at support systems for these individuals, because in Nigeria we seem to, maybe because of the way we are wired, have these one-size-fits-all sort of method or approach to everything that we do. Do we live as a government, as a people, as a society, as though we realize there are people with autism amongst us? Because at the point, it took a lot of campaign and advocacy to even say, look, if you have a building, especially a public building, whether it's a mall, it's a supermarket, it's a public, quick service restaurant or something, you've got to have a ramp for PWDs and things like that, right? So do we have that sort of a culture here, or are we now living intentionally knowing that we have autistic individuals amongst us?
So just as you said earlier that recently there has been a surge in the awareness when it comes to autism.
Right.
So just as you said, there are organizations that work with kids with autism. There is one in Wuse Zone 5 that work with kids with autism. So providing services to kids like that, or having an awareness is something that is still developing. It's still developing. Yes, we have organizations, but the funding to like provide services, because just as I said earlier, autism therapy is quite expensive.
It is.
So it takes a lot to say that I want to be an NGO for kids with special needs. Most time you do it out of pocket. You don't have a lot of like
grants and all
grants
that.
and public funding for it. So I feel like more awareness on that. Just as we now have ramps and all that, which took a lot, because it's just recently. When I was a kid, then I don't used to see ramp.
Right. We all had to use the same staircase.
Yes, you have to. You carry the person up and assist. So yeah, it's basically along that line too.
So it means that there's no. Are we saying that there's no hope for those that are not financially buoyant enough to afford therapy and whose kids have autism? You mentioned that it's financially demanding. Therapy is expensive. What is the hope for that ordinary Nigerian? Is it that they are sentenced to manage situations alone, or I don't know? How do they come out of it?
So there are some organizations, just as I mentioned, there's one in Wuse Zone 5 that gives chances to reduced prices to parents that find it difficult to like pay. I also do that when I go, because I charge per hour when I have the discussion with the parents and that we're not able to do that, and I look at the kid, I'm like, okay, I think I can do that. I reduce the prices sometimes, and there are some organizations that do that, but it is how they will know which organization that does this. That is where the problem is. There are organizations that give reduced therapist prices, but when it comes to knowing which organization does that,
you don't have enough information out there.
They don't have enough. And my school too, honestly, my school is very good when it comes to inclusion, because all the kids, when you come to my school, you would not see like the child sitting there, then neurotypical kids are sitting. We are all in the same circle. They also like, our services are not that expensive, but you get the worth of what you're coming for.
So we can say that it's financially rewarding for therapists and those that find themselves doing this job.
Doing this job.
Don't make Priscilla start to think of career change this morning.
No, I just want to know. For those Nigerians that are feeling, because the typical teacher will say, the teaching job is not paying.
Because
since you already loved kids, why not get more specialization in this field? We know that the opportunities are quite limited, right? But I don't know who offers this specialization. I don't know where they can get it from. But I mean, there are lots of Nigerian teachers that like children. Why not jump on this end? Or is that people don't want plenty people in this system? So that's
just as I said, our reward is indeed in heaven. Because if we should want to charge what we are given, because honestly we are giving a lot. We're giving our energy, we're giving our time, we're giving our strength. Because there are some kids that when you hold them, sit still. It's like you're holding an adult. It's like sit still. So it's passion.
Some of the kids. So do some of the kids react physically? Have you seen? I know someone that says, "Oh, there's this kid that likes music, and the parents called me to teach. I was scared of the child biting me because I had to run away." So, are there kids where you faced such kind of violence, right? And how have you managed it, or how did you manage it?
So some kids are actually violent. So they throw tantrums when they don't get what they want. Before you know, pound on your face, or they hit you on your chest. Reward oriented. Maybe they want to get away from doing something. Then they will start using that. I have a child that hits when he wants something and he's not able to get his way. The hitting is not like immediately he will start hitting you, but maybe like a few seconds into it. So we kind of know that, okay, this is how he's going. He's probably going to hit you. We step back and let him know, no hitting, hands are not for hitting. So it's another type of therapy, behavioral therapy. Trying to let the child know what behavior is okay and what behavior is not okay. So we teach good behavior, bad behavior. So they know what to do and what not to do. So, and then it also boils down to the parents too. If I'm doing good behavior, bad behavior at home, and you're not enforcing it at home, it will keep you think you're not getting. You will not get results as much as you. So if a child hits in school and we're able to reinforce that, let the child know that that's a bad behavior, and the child is reinforced. The child goes home and he hits the brother, and you're like, don't hit your brother now. It's gone. You have to let the child know that the hitting they did is a bad thing. Just like, don't hit your brother. Why should I not hit my brother? Should I not hit my brother because
so you must emphasize and establish the reason you shouldn't hit somebody.
Because it is very, very bad. Hitting is not good. Now, if I hit you, you will cry. If you hit me, then I will kind of do as if I'm also crying. So then you hear something like, are you okay? No, I'm not okay, because hitting is bad. So it's another form of therapy, behavioral therapy that we also
Children also need to be taught to manage situations amongst themselves, and even within the classroom,
how they react to situations in the class. Although sometimes before you say that you want to look at that behavior, was there a trigger to it? Sometimes there will be a trigger to it. Maybe the AC is off and they want the AC to be on, but there is no light. So how are we going to on the AC? So
in Nigeria again, at the end of the day. It's interesting.
It appears that there's so much of campaign that we need to do in this regard, Esther, quite frankly, because as it stands today, I'm even thinking, what happens in an age where there's so much of emphasis on inclusivity, whether in school or in the workplace, for example? Most workplaces now, whether corporate or otherwise, are now saying that, look, inclusivity is part of our, as it were, corporate policy. All right, so whether they are PWDs or whatever it is, we've got to be inclusive across race, religion, tribe, and what have you. All right, so I hope we continue to push this narrative, and I hope we continue to get that needed support, because whether you like it or not, Nigeria is a peculiar case. When it comes to things like this, for many people, even as we talked on the program this morning, all of these things you are discussing are still very alien. And one way we can address that is to ensure that we are relentless about all of this. We would like to say a big thank you to you for coming to share all of these thoughts. You see, we survived it actually. Right, we've been talking with Ogoni Esther Bola, who is a dedicated special needs educator and therapist with a very strong background in social work. That's our program for you today. Our broadcast here on Global Television continues. I am Uyag Mofwebe, wishing you the best of this Easter weekend and beyond.
And I am Priscilla Obasi, wishing you a beautiful Good Friday. Bye for now.